Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Aaron Dean. With school back in session or approaching for many students, more transgender youth are being excluded from sports this year. For the new school year, 4 new states have laws that keep transgender girls off of their girls' teams. Kansas, North Dakota, and Wyoming added new laws over the summer. Missouri has a new restriction that will go into effect at the end of August. North Carolina could also enact a ban later this month, and Ohio could follow in the fall. A total of 23 states now have restrictions on trans youth in sports. Supporters of the restrictions say that boys have physical advantages over girls in speed, strength, and lung capacity, while doctors and LGBTQ+ rights advocates say that boys' physical advantages come with a surge in testosterone during puberty. Those changes are blocked with gender-affirming care. Parents say it's not about sports and it's more about trying to make transgender kids disappear. Following the removal of affirmative action in the college admissions process, the Department of Education is releasing new guidance to help colleges and universities with student diversity. The new guidance suggests that college admissions officials are allowed to consider how race has impacted a student's life, but they can't use demographic data to influence their admissions decisions. The guidance also encourages diversity through outreach and recruitment. The Department of Ed urges colleges to rethink policies that tend to favor white, wealthy applicants, while warning that the Justice Department is ready to investigate if schools don't follow equal access to students of all races. The guidance comes as colleges try to avoid the kind of diversity decline seen in California and Michigan after those states ended affirmative action. A Chick-fil-A worker sent home for her hairstyle is now filing a formal complaint with the EEOC. 16-year-old Autumn Williams says a Chick-fil-A manager sent her home for having, quote, unnatural hair color. Williams wears braids. She says that her supervisor told her to come back when there was no blonde left. That was in mid-July. She has since left that job, and her mother filed a complaint with the EEOC. About 2 weeks after the incident, the owner of the store invited Williams back, but she declined. Autumn said that she didn't feel comfortable going back. Chick-fil-A declined to comment. Advocates are working to make sure natural hair is protected under state and federal law. The Crown Act, short for Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, aims to empower Black women by ending race-based hair discrimination. 23 states have enacted the Crown Act into law, but over 44% of Black women workers live in states where it hasn't been passed. The Economic Policy Institute's Jasmine Payne-Patterson is examining how hair discrimination is rooted in systematic racism. What is the Crown Act and how did you get so passionate about it?
I'm so glad you asked. So, the Crown Act stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. The H is silent. And it started in 2019 in California by someone named Senator Holly Mitchell, who's a state senator there. And it was basically to protect against hair discrimination. So oftentimes hair is used as a proxy for race, and we think of different laws that protect against racial discrimination, but in those laws it doesn't specify that hair, like what type of hair or like these other proxies that talk about race. So this is to specifically talk about natural hair, whether it be locks or braids or just wearing your hair curly like my hair is today. So it protects against that in the workplace and the school.
Yeah. When you talk about, hair in the workplace, one thing I can always remember, I got my start in local news. So I'm sure, looking at local news, how many people do you know curl their hair? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like guys.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Black women having their hair natural. And it's always been so interesting in that atmosphere to hear kind of like the industry's response to that has not always been so welcoming or positive. So,
Yes.
learning about the Crown Act, I was, always so very excited because I was just like, wow, okay, there is something in the works that's going to give Black and brown people with natural hair the ability to wear their hair in its natural state. To know that there's an initiative, there are laws now in place that protect natural hair, how does that make you feel? And especially with the work that you do?
It makes me feel great. I mean, the Economic Policy Institute, EPI, talks about workplace rights. And for me, I wrote this report because I wanted to talk about these protections. I think that there's not enough people who know that, first of all, these protections didn't exist. So they didn't know that they could go back and say, hey, no, you can't discriminate against me for that. And it's also important for people to know, because as you're going into an interview, I can't state how many times it's like a part of the interview checklist is like, okay, like, let me get my hair done, or like, let me try to put it in a way that's going to be like accepted from a Eurocentric standpoint, and to just like be like, no, like, this is how it grows out of my hair, this is how I usually wear it, this is how I want to wear it when I'm presenting my skills, this is a part of me bringing my whole self to that. And I've had experiences where that hasn't been the case, and I've been interviewing people for the report, and they were saying the same thing. They were just like, yep, I have to figure out how to like be accepted and wear kind of this uniform for this job interview.
Yeah. Well, that's a great segue into this. According to a 2023 survey, Black women's hair is 2.5 times more likely to be perceived as unprofessional. And like you said, Black women find themselves changing their hair right before a job interview. And even when you get the job, sometimes, either they'll change it back to its natural state, but they're still going to face microaggressions, extreme microaggressions. And then even in some wild cases, sometimes Black women get sent home from work because of their natural hair. What is your reaction to that?
It's just awful. And you think about even the need to have the Crown Act today. It's kind of like, wow, like, why is this still happening? Like, why is race still being used, hair still being used as a proxy for race? Why are we still kind of like regressing back to this stage where you can't, where we're not accepted as Black people? Because it's not just Black women, it's Black people overall, and Black and brown people overall, who are just trying to wear their hair as it comes out of their head. So it frustrates me to think about how, your hair being like just worn, how it comes out of your head is being viewed as unprofessional. And in my study, I kind of talk about the larger implications of that from when you're working in an at-will state where you can be fired for little or no reason. This act provides protections for that, to be able to say, no, like, I have protections under the law to stay in my job and to make sure that I can advance in my career. And it also has implications from a pay equity standpoint. So Black women today make 70% that of white men. And as we're thinking about that, there's so many factors that go into it, but racial discrimination is a huge part of that. And a hair as a proxy means that can continue to happen if they're not protected.
Across the country right now, we have 23 states that have made the Crown Act law. And there's still some more states that need to come on over. Texas is going to be the most recent one, come next month in September, to make it official in their state. What work is there left to do, and why is there such a fear or resistance against natural hair?
Yeah, so we were so excited. I'm already going to claim 24 because I'm just like we're saying, it's already signed. So we're just saying that, we need to get the 26 along. But I think that the fear really comes from like people fear what they don't know. So if your hair doesn't grow like this, you're like, oh, hey, this is just not what I don't know. But it also is from this idea of policing Black bodies. So they police Black bodies in how we dress. They police Black bodies in how we look, how we move, everything. But I think it even goes back to like this like Sarah Bartman, like Venus Hottentot era, where they're prodding and poking her because of how her body looks. And the same thing goes for your hair. We've heard this phrase of like, oh, don't touch my hair. And people don't really understand why we say that. But it's just like, yeah, like you're othering me, and it has all these other implications down the road, because there's the tangible effects like pay and the ability to job or to stay in school or to go, across the graduation stage. But even further, it's this idea that, oh, you're not going to get a job if you have your hair like this. You're not going to get a job or be able to advance in your career or whatever success looks like for you if you have your hair this way. And it's not dignifying or allowing you to express your culture or your heritage by way of your hair.
Thanks so much for watching Advocate today. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can even subscribe on our YouTube channel. I'm Aaron Dean, and this was Advocate Today.